So this, Oblivion character creator creature is Siobhan Kirstein. It's the autogynephiliac Jewish version of me. A man pretending to be a woman and a drag queen who works as a custodian at University of Kansas. He was just reported for invading the women's restroom after the university started enforcing a new Kansas law requiring sex-segregated facilities. Kirstein says he has no intention of complying with the law and will continue invading the women's room. Under the Kansas law, violations will result in fines and an eventual misdemeanor charge. I don't know if the University of Kansas has said anything here, but did that say Honey, I Shrunk My Dick? It did. This was one of the only articles I could find on it. Look at him in all of his glory. Transgender employee at KU reported for using the bathroom. Staff at the University of Kansas are starting to enforce an anti-transgender bathroom bill. I know where I'm at, apparently. Siobhan Kirstein spent Friday evening at Harbor Lights unwinding with friends. He got off work early that day after he received an email from Katie Varner, Director of Employee Relations at the University of Kansas, informing him that he had been reported for using the women's bathroom in Parker Hall. Kirstein is a transgender woman who works as a janitor at the university's Kansas Geological Survey. This is very dangerous, because there's already a stereotype of janitors being creepers. When I was in elementary school, we had a janitor who got arrested for putting cameras in the women's bathrooms. So this is already a stereotype for janitors, and you want to tell me an AGP's getting in on that? Ain't no way, brother. My immediate reaction was complete shock that anyone in the Kansas Geological Survey would do that to me in the first place, Kirstein said. And then I was furious about it. Furious that he won't get to watch women pee anymore. He had been using the women's bathroom at KU for years, but in February, Kansas legislators pushed Senate Bill 244 through using gut-and-go tactics. The bill forces trans people to use multi-occupancy bathrooms that align with their sex assigned at birth, as opposed to their gender identity in public buildings like KU. I have a feeling this is very divisionally worded. I doubt the bill demands they use multi-occupancy bathrooms. If you're in an area that has single occupancy bathrooms, I have a feeling that that's probably not mentioned at all, unless those single occupancy bathrooms are also specifically sex segregated. Jannies are always creepers. It doesn't matter if it's school or on Discord or Reddit. So he's just a fetishist creep pretty fucking much. I have zero sympathy for people wanting to practice their fetish and using a transgender identity in order to force people to go along with it. It is incredibly fucking disgusting. It also bars people from changing their gender markers on their state-issued documents like driver's licenses while reverting any changes that have been made in the past. I'm reaching out to you from Human Resources in response to a report received that I have an obligation to follow up on, Varner wrote in the Friday email to Kirstein. I wish to preface this email by acknowledging this is a sensitive matter, and my intention in reaching out is to provide awareness of the report and the law, extend to you an opportunity to be heard, and if helpful, share resources. If an institution receives a complaint about a person's bathroom usage, the law requires them to send that person a notice with the date and location of their bathroom use, a note about fines that accompany repeated complaints, and the procedure to administratively appeal the finding, per the language of SB 244. Can I just point out how fucking ridiculous this is? Like, if we collectively had brain cells as a society and we didn't allow fetishists and activists to co-opt an identity in order to force everyone to go along with either their ideology or their fetish, we would not need to read sentences such as, the law requires them to send that person a notice with the date and location of their bathroom use. This never should have happened. This is like a literal Dark Ages period of time where any kind of actual progress being made in technology has been stunted by everyone needing to play pretend. Varner followed these 3 steps in the email. She did not specify if the university is currently facing a fine. I don't think the university would be the one facing a fine, man. If a public institution is reported to the Kansas Attorney General because someone uses a multi-occupancy bathroom that does not align with their sex assigned at birth, oh, I was wrong. The institution can be fined $25,000 for the first violation and $125,000 for each subsequent day or additional violation. That's actually really good. I was thinking that it was just going to be a fine for the person using the bathroom, but if they're also going to fine the institution, I think it should be both. I think they should be fining the individual as well as the institution, because the fines on the institution is going to force the institution to actually do the right thing. That's based, unironically. Folks who are reported for using what the bill deems the wrong bathroom can be fined $1,000 after the second violation under SB 244. After that, it's a misdemeanor. Perfect! So the institution is going to get between $25,000 and $125,000 worth each violation. And then the individuals who use the bathroom are going to be fined $1,000. Then after the second violation, it'll be a misdemeanor charge. Based. I'm glad Kansas has actual brain cells going on in their legislation somewhere. Kirstein said he hasn't heard of any other people around Lawrence or Kansas being reported for bathroom use, nor had he heard of public buildings actively enforcing SB 244. He pointed to transgender activist Samantha Boucher's act of civil disobedience in March. Boucher tried to no avail to get arrested by using the women's bathroom at the Kansas State House. Well, it's not an arrest, it's just fines until your second violation. But also, if you live in Kansas and this AGP is saying they haven't heard of any other people being reported for bathroom use, if you are a Kansas citizen, it is your patriotic duty to start lodging complaints and getting these businesses and institutions fined out the fucking ass. Probably become a DADT thing. I don't know what that means. Nevaeus Luna, thank you. Just finished an interview for a tech support job. Spent the first 15 minutes troubleshooting Teams. It went well despite that. I hate having to troubleshoot the remote access software for anything. It's always a fucking nightmare. Always a nightmare. I had a job that involved cleaning bathrooms in a mall. Anyone who would choose to go into the women's bathroom needs their head checked. It's pretty fucking gross. I don't like using public restrooms. DADT is don't ask, don't tell. Oh, I don't recognize acronyms, brother. Not just the men, but fine the fake women and children too. True. No. Since an interview in March, Kirstein has had a refrain. It only takes one person. It does not matter whether or not KU says they're not going to enforce SB 244, because all it takes is one person to freak out in the bathroom and report me, and that is exactly what happened. That could be you! You could be that one person doing your patriotic duty, like me, when I have someone who can't speak English delivering my DoorDash. Just report them to ICE. It's your patriotic duty. The report received was that you used a restroom in Parker Hall on the first floor in violation of Kansas Senate Bill 244 on June 22nd, 2026. Almost 3 weeks passed between the date that Kirstein allegedly used the bathroom and Varner's email to her. The email does not specify when KUHR received the complaint. I would be willing to bet that they received the complaint pretty early on, and this is just typical bureaucratic slowness, as well as them twisting their hands trying to figure out how can we be good allies while also complying with the law. You know? That's probably why it took them so long. Varner and KU spokesperson Erin Barcombe-Peterson did not respond to questions for this article, including when they received the report and how they verified that Kirstein used the bathroom in question that day. They also declined to answer if and how they verified Kirstein's sex assigned at birth versus her gender identity before emailing her. Bro, come on, just fucking look at him. Are you kidding me? You don't know how they verified his sex assigned at birth versus his gender identity? He looks like a Chilla's Art villain. What are we doing here? As you likely know, we can't comment on an individual's personal matters, Barcombe-Peterson said via email. That being said, the university has an obligation to comply with state law. In her email, Varner points Kirstein to KU Employee Assistant Program and the Director of Mental Health and Well-Being, who also works for KUHR. Varner also encouraged Kirstein to respond to the report via email or during an in-person meeting, but the ultimate directive is clear. Regardless, please ensure you are adhering to SB 244, Varner wrote. She also wrote that Kirstein could request a different work area where there are all-gender, single-use restrooms. This university person is trying to give them so many fucking options, but they don't realize this is not a person with gender dysphoria. This is an autogynephiliac. They don't want solutions. They want to force themselves into women's spaces. Why should I move myself to a building just so I can use a bathroom that would make other people more comfortable? Because other people are the majority. What are we doing here? I'm just going to keep using the bathrooms that make me comfortable because I'm a human being. Trying to force other people to participate in your fetish, which is wrong and disgusting, and you should be relegated elsewhere. I have dignity in telling me that I can't use a particular bathroom because it makes other people uncomfortable. That takes away from that. How come all of these people are just incredibly narcissistic? Like, they have crazy main character syndrome. Following Varner's email, Kirstein reached out to advocacy organizations for support. Kirstein said he doesn't plan to respond to Varner's email at this time. I'll stay until they basically fire me, Kirstein said. If that's what they want to do, that's what I'll do, but I have no intention of complying, no intention at all. And I'm sure if this individual gets fired, they'll try filing a discrimination lawsuit, but I don't think this lawsuit would actually go anywhere, finally, because the reason for their firing would be not complying with a literal law on the books that causes the institution to get fined. So, thankfully, this would not actually be any kind of, like, discrimination lawsuit in their favor. He said he knew her employment status could be at risk in speaking with the press. Kirstein has a constitutional right to speak to the press about his experience, but he pointed to Anthony Alvarez. Alvarez, a trans KU graduate, was fired from his job at Grace Pearson Scholarship Hall shortly after speaking to news outlets about the hall's ban on gender-inclusive housing. He initially sued the university and his supervisors. I don't know if this is a trans man, so I don't know what the pronouns are. And his supervisors, although KU was dropped from the lawsuit last year. A federal judge recently retained one complaint on the case, meaning Alvarez can argue that his supervisors violated his First Amendment protected speech. I don't understand how that would even work, right? So this Alvarez person was speaking to news outlets about the ban on gender-inclusive housing. And he initially sued the university and his supervisors, but then the university was dropped from the lawsuit. So I feel like firing, I don't know the whole story, but just from this, and this is obviously a very left-biased source, I don't think there should have been any kind of repercussions for him speaking on this, right? He should be able to speak about the ban, and so going after it as a First Amendment thing makes sense. If he was trying to, like, lie about things, that's where I would not take his side any longer. But if he was just drawing attention to, like, oh, the hall has a ban on gender-inclusive housing, which they should, he should be absolutely certainly free to talk about that. Bathroom choice is freedom of speech? Are you retarded? This wasn't even bathroom. This was gender-inclusive housing. This was him wanting to, I guess, from the wording, I'm assuming, wanting to be included in a housing area of dorms that he is not allowed to be in. It's the AGP double shuffle. They are the victim, but also they want to boss everyone around. Also, what the fuck do they mean? How do they know that I'm trans? Do they really expect us to believe that they haven't bragged 1,000 times over about how they are trans online, socially, etc.? That's also a fair point. One look at social media and they're probably bragging about it. I'm not the first person that they would have fired for trying to take on HR because HR does not serve employees. Kirstein said, they serve the administration. I love how that this fucking individual has been so insulated on his power trip from claiming a transgender identity to protect himself from making others participate in his fetish, that he is just now realizing that HR is not for the employees, it is for the company. That's fucking crazy. That is insane. And Kirstein wants people to recognize SB 244 for what it is, legal segregation. How do you look at yourself and take yourself seriously when you say me not being allowed to whip my dick out in front of women in a public restroom is legal segregation? If I was a black man, I'd be like, this dumbass white boy, what the fuck? His brain is segregated. He looks like a fucking literal demonic creature in this picture on the left. Like, look at those soulless eyes and that weird goblin, like, scissor tooth grin. Like, look at his eyes, dude. That's fucking horrifying. It's a legal form of making trans people second-class citizens. Bruh. Bruh. This is a crazy fucking power trip. We have to make sure that women have nowhere to be safe. That would make trans people second-class citizens. She said if Lawrence community members are behind trans and queer people, they should push against the law by speaking up to the city commission, their legislatures, a KU administration, and the university's donors. And this is why it's very important that if you are in Kansas, you do these reports. As they said at the beginning of the article, all it takes is one person. All it takes is one person to make a complaint. And you know down here, where they're asking community members to stand behind trans and queer people, push against the law by speaking up to the city commission, legislators, and the administration at the university, as well as the university donors. You know these people are doing that. And if you do nothing, they will win. That is how it has been for quite a long time. So you need to stand up for yourself and your community. He hopes to see SB 244 stricken down, and in the meantime, Kirstein plans to fight for his rights to preserve his life in Lawrence. He has exciting developments in his personal world, and he's proud to be the secretary of Lawrence Pride. I remain positive because regardless of what they do, this community right here in Lawrence is amazing because we show up. And we show up in these safe places with joy and vibrancy. We can be exactly who we want to be, and we're accepted for exactly who we want to be. And we stand up for each other because we believe in mutual aid, which is beautiful. Should he lose his job, he said that wouldn't push him from Lawrence. I'll stay right here. I'll stay right here. This individual apparently cannot use the single-person restrooms. That was an offer that the administration made to them, like, hey, we can move your office to an area with the single occupancy restrooms. That's not good enough because this man wants to just be around women while they're pissing. It has nothing to do with any kind of dysphoria. This is not a transgender person. This is an autogynephiliac. Andy Ngo, I guess, has put out a book. Trans Violence is Real. Investigating the secretive trans death cult took me back to America. I didn't even know he left America. I'm gonna be real. It put my life at risk again. Hormones, human experimentation, swords, guns, bodies. This is the true story of the Zizians.
Who are the Zizians? It's a question that consumed my life, one that took me from England back to America to investigate from coast to coast. What began as a small and obscure California community became something else entirely. A cult built around a trans
Why does he look like he's gonna cry?
figure known as Ziz. Around Ziz, a secretive network of transgender devotees emerged. What they left behind was a trail of violence linked to 8 deaths, including a Border Patrol agent and a key murder trial witness.
Jesus Christ.
Over nearly a decade, the group recruited followers from around the world and spread across the United States before collapsing in a dramatic interstate manhunt.
That's crazy. I've never even heard of any of this, and they had like an interstate manhunt? That's nuts.
As I investigated, the story became darker, more shocking with every turn. Left-wing ideology, hideouts on land and at sea, staged deaths, human experimentation, brutal violence, murder.
I want to know if when he says human experimentation, he means kind of like back in the day how guys would get on different 4chan boards and be like, I'm gonna cut off my cock and give you guys pictures of the process. Let's fucking go!
I tracked down sources, interviewed witnesses, uncovered hidden records, and pieced together an impossible story from fragments scattered across the world. What emerged was one of the most disturbing investigations I've ever undertaken.
Oh yeah, someone in the chat asked, wasn't he assaulted by Antifa? Yes, he was the guy who got the concrete milkshake thrown at his head and got a concussion from it. That was how I found out about Andy Ngo back in the day.
This is the true story of the Zizians.
You see, I like that he's putting out the true story. What I don't like is that he put it in a fucking book. I wish that it was in a documentary instead of a book. I don't want to read book.
Read!
Kirsche.
Read!
But it's on sale October 13th. He's kind of doing marketing hella in advance. You aren't alone in noticing what we're not allowed to see, the rise in trans violence and murder. This book reveals how a trans cult was allowed to leave a trail of violence across America. Hey, this makes me think. My tweet will forever be evergreen, and I will rue the day. It's going to be posted ad infinitum, much like the Sam Hyde quote. Once it's realized most trans activists are autogynephiliac males or ideologues, pushing their political views with an identity shield to prevent criticism, all of the power-hungry threats and graphic murder fantasies make a lot more sense. I say most. The word most is fucking key here, and even after most, I'm talking about trans activists. This is not applied to all people who are transgender, as I painstakingly, for years, continuously separate actual dysphoric people from the trans activists and the fetishists and the ideologues. I've said from the beginning that I'm not going to get any grace from either side for doing that, because the left will be like, if you're not accepting of all of it, fuck you, you're a horrible person, you're a Hitler Nazi, you deserve to die. And people on the right are typically, yeah, I don't give a fuck about making the distinction, I'm tired of all of it. So. A trans Portland Antifa member with links to an armed Trantifa cell has been posting about casting occult blood curses on Andy Ngo so that he's killed. The man uses the alias Roxanne Southers, and 2 members of his cell were charged over an attempted murder last year. He recently posted about how a law enforcement raid on his property apparently missed a firearm in his possession. To my enemies, this is what you're dealing with. I cast blood hexes on y'all, so watch yourselves. And I hope y'all don't have a habit of putting hats on beds. What happens if you put a hat on a bed? Is this... I don't understand this. This threat is too esoteric for me. Take this seriously? They already beat the shit out of Andy twice in 2019 and 2021? Yes, exactly. Like, it's all fun and games to make fun of these people for how ridiculous they are, but absolutely still fucking report it to the police. That is ridiculous. And they're warning their enemies that their enemies are retarded. I don't fucking know, man. And I guess that's the person. That's the individual. Looks like a gay, sad Mexican. It does. It does. 2 members of a Portland Antifa cell armed with rifles and pistols charged in attempted murder shooting. This is from January. 2 trans members of an Antifa cell in Portland, Oregon were arrested over an attempted murder shooting attack. I like Andy, but attempted murder shooting attack just sounds funny. Rem Heathen, real name Michael Richard Fodick. Why do they always have such fake names? And Jennifer Faya Michelle Bitgood, real name Sean Michael Bitgood. These people aren't real! Were allegedly involved in an attempted murder on December 21st, 2025 in the Mount Tabor neighborhood of Southeast Portland. A man was found with gunshot wounds in a parking lot of an apartment complex. He was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Oh God, flags in bio. What will they learn? I'm a 43-year-old healthcare worker. I would not trust this thing to do anything to me in healthcare. Fadick and Bitgood were located at the scene and identified. Their weapons, an AR-15 style rifle with a muzzle device and 2 semi-automatic pistols, were seized in the investigation. The 2 were not arrested that night, and Fadick later fled out of state. Sorry, I got tripped up because what the fuck is this image? This is the most confusing thing I've ever seen! Why do they think they wouldn't get thrown off of rooftops? I don't get it! Rooftop, by the way. On January 8th, officers with the Mount Shasta Police Department in Northern California arrested Fodick after someone called police at a gasoline station. Fodick was extradited back to Multnomah County, where he has been charged with 6 felonies. Attempted murder, 1st-degree assault, 2nd-degree assault, 2 counts of unlawful use of a weapon, and coercion. Late on January 10th, Bitgood was arrested at a far-left riot outside the Portland ICE facility on the warrant. He was in a group of masked militants dressed in black, and Bitgood was charged with felony unlawful use of a weapon and felony coercion.
It's like to kill black people!
What?
Is that Bitgood?
Shame! They don't do shit to help the community.
No, that's not Bitgood. I thought it was Bitgood. It's not Bitgood.
I can't tell who it is. I can't tell who it is.
What the?
Why did someone bring their grandma out here? She like put on her reading glasses. I can't tell who that is. Why is grandma here? Bring grandma home. Give her cookies and milk.
Who is it?
Freya! Comrade Freya!
Oh, it is Freya. It is Freya.
Yay!
They're going to arrest someone else.
I think I remember watching
Oh, they got another one.
This like protest thing.
I can't believe that fucking cop came up to me and fucking... You were just about ready to get...
They got another one over there.
You just about arrested you.
Oh, I forget her name. I forget her name.
Hey, you two. Almond, Freya, you'll be back. Goddamn right. Goddamn right.
It's Freya.
There they are, chat. Those are true fucking patriots right there. I don't know why the fuck...
Why do they always say shame? You thought they hated The Handmaid's Tale? No, they love The Handmaid's Tale because they believe that that's what Trump is turning America into, and they need to stop it. They're the freedom fighters who will stop The Handmaid's Tale. But actually, You know, all you want to do is get on top of me and hold my wrist down and forcibly impregnate me against my will. And the ICE agent's just like, lady, fucking step back, dude. Both are booked into jail as female, even though that they're men. Oregon law allows for self-identification of sex. You see, I don't think this should be a thing. Like, our like legal system has become such a joke that there are so many non-whites described as white and so many men described as women. VoD remains in custody while Bitgood was released without bail. He has regularly returned to the far left to direct actions at the ICE facility. In 2009, VoD's wife divorced him, and he went further into far left politics in the years since. The two suspects are members of an Antifa cell in Portland and have a years-long history of militant Antifa involvement. Both have, in recent months, been attendees of the riots outside the facility. I've already seen that. Damn, look at those fucking crazy eyes on that sad Mexican. Going back to 2019, VoD has targeted this journalist dozens of times on then Twitter and on social media posts using multiple different aliases, including Antifa General and ThatHeathen87. His Twitter account was eventually suspended for urging violence. That's kind of impressive. It's actually really hard to get suspended on Twitter for encouraging violence if you're on the left. On one of his Tumblr accounts, ThatHeathen, in which VoD identifies as a trans femme and always anti-fascist, a dog whistle slogan used by militant Antifa members, he shared propaganda content from the terrorist group Antifa International and celebrated violence against Andy Ngo. There are hundreds of Antifa propaganda posts on that account. And here's a screenshot of, hey, so what was that whole thing with the concrete milkshakes true? I hear a lot of liberals and centrists bitching about it, but I'm not seeing any reliable proof that there were milkshakes actually laced concrete being thrown at anyone. Apparently the whole Andy Ngo fiasco is nonsense. This is why, like, I hate current reality, because these people, they don't care about facts. They don't care about what actually happened. They just care about being able to use anything they can to defeat you with. So it doesn't matter that there's video of concrete milkshake being lobbed at Andy Ngo's head. It doesn't matter that there's video footage of Renee Good trying to hit an ICE officer, successfully hitting him. You can see him get jerked with her car, and her wife encouraging her with drive, baby, drive. None of this evidence matters. Doesn't matter that Kyle Rittenhouse shot a bunch of felons who were trying to kill him. People still say he shot black men, which wasn't true. The facts do not matter. Only the narrative matters. And it's frustrating because it doesn't matter when the body video footage comes out that shows that, oh, we're all right about what we thought happened. Because they're still going to continue lying about it anyways. The politicians on their side are going to continue lying about it anyways. They live in a fractured reality where facts do not matter any longer. How do you even combat that? Avalanche Grim, thank you for the 37 months, dude. Thank you. Thank you. Jordan, thank you. You believe there's a Twitter account called Department of Deportations that has multiple screenshots of white people and their names? Yep. There was it might be the same account you're talking about. But there was an account showing how many, like, Indians get arrested. Not Native Americans, but, like, Indians. And they're all labeled as white. Like, you don't even need to see them. You can just read their names. And, like, you know that that's not a white person. But they're listed as white on their arrest record. The last post on the account, made on January 2nd, less than 2 weeks after the shooting, featured photos of members of his cell and the text caption, "I protect my queer family from a demon." Another post made just a few days after the shooting read, "I'm in trouble. I did something I thought I'd never do. Defend my family." This guy probably thinks he's the fucking Joker, baby. What the hell? VoD also has another Tumblr account under the name Anti-Fascist General, and in it, he shares violent extremist content, including from the Islamist terror group Hamas. Bro. One of VoD's Instagram accounts, he posted a death threat against South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace in May 2025. Her official portrait has a first-person graphic of a gun pointed at her face. Another member of VoD's cell is a Portland Antifa member who uses the alias Triggerfae. The man who is trans branded himself with Antifa logos similar to how neo-Nazis tattoo themselves with fascist signs. Triggerfae is in a romantic relationship with VoD, and he has not been charged with a crime. Bad Rick and Morty fan art. Bitgood, who formerly worked as a healthcare worker, thank you God, formerly, at one of Providence Medical Centers in Portland, is originally from Galveston, Texas. Also has a long history of violent extremist posts under his alias, Freya. He regularly used symbols of Antifa with his extremist content and has been accused of rape.
Hi there, wonderful world of YouTube.
This is 10 minutes long.
This is Freya. If you can hear me or not, because I'm using a totally new microphone. But hey, you know, apparently I'm a bad person, and I apparently deserve to not be around, and I deserve to be canceled or whatever, because apparently me doing the things that I do to try to keep away from that kind of drama and stuff is not really good enough, because
That's crazy coming from someone who got arrested for shooting someone else. Okay, all right. I'm not gonna curse you to listen to that for ages. But also, I can't hear the name Freya without thinking about when my mom decided that she wanted to lie about having a baby and that the baby's name was Freya. In October 2025, posting under the moniker Nebulas Are Fun 82 on X, Bitgood responded to conservative journalist Cam Higbee, posting a photo of conservative live streamers, including Nick Shirley, outside of an ICE facility. Bitgood wrote, "Look at that, it's a hit list, watch your backs." Yeah, you probably shouldn't say things like that, you fucking freak. At Nick Sortor, nice car. Assume all you MAGA hat assholes will be gone, as I will eliminate all of you. I now know where every single one of you live, especially Tommy Boy. Ancient Millennial Trans Femme, Portland, Oregon, ACAB, FDT, I don't know what that means. Oh, fuck Donald Trump, fuck ICE, ICE out of Portland, healthcare worker. He posted a thread against an older Portland neighborhood resident voicing criticism of Antifa rioters in South Portland. And he said, "Comma is coming to her and the rest of y'all." Bitgood then posted a photo of conservative influencer Nick Sortor's rental car in Portland as he was documenting protests and riots outside the ICE facility. In response to a video of the late Charlie Kirk's toddler daughter, he posted on X, "Charlie Squirt's whole family should be wiped out, along with you and yours." Hey, remember the Virginia AG who said that his political others should be shot and killed? And then if he had 3 bullets and he was standing in front of, like, Hitler, I can't remember if he said Stalin, someone else, and the fucking Republican guy, he's like, all 3 bullets would go to the Republican guy. And that he wanted to see Republicans' children die in their mother's arms. This is just the normal mainstream rhetoric of the left now. This isn't some, like, hidden cell of extremists. This is the mainstream opinion. The mainstream Democratic opinion is conservatives deserve to get shot and killed. Freya continuing, "I will not apologize for what I've said about Charlie Kirk. Sorry, not sorry. Dude preached violence toward transgender folks. He preached the eradication of transgender folks. He fucking reaped what he fucking sowed." I love how whenever, like, these people try to point out, like, "Ooh, you said mean thing and you're a Nazi," you just pull up whatever they said about Charlie Kirk, and they're like, "Well, yeah, obviously, that's the correct thing to say." Like, with no hint of any sort of, like, self-actualization. I like my Nazis like I like my tire swings hanging from a rope in my backyard. And we all know that these people don't mean actual Nazis, unfortunately. In January, Bitgood went viral on Libs of TikTok for a video where he threatened violence against a federal agent who shot Minneapolis rioter Renee Good, dead after she accelerated her SUV toward him.
To the ICE agent that murdered that unarmed civilian in Minneapolis, we have your face, we have pictures of you. We will get justice for a fallen comrade, whether it be judicial justice or street justice. Depends on whether or not
these people can freely call for street justice, and everyone's just like, "Oh yeah, that's normal." But as soon as somebody's angry about something like Irina Zarutska or Henry Novak or the millions of rapes going on in the UK, if any of them said anything about street justice, they would be arrested like next day. Like, you just can't. Like, every system is on the side of these insane fucking people.
But you turn yourself in and admit to your crime. That wasn't self-defense. That was murder. And you know it was murder.
Street justice? This thing hasn't left the suburbs? Get out of here. See, you're typing that, and you don't understand what's happening. This person has gotten arrested for shooting someone. You can laugh at them, but do not underestimate them. They're ridiculous and they're insane, but they are fucking dangerous.
Don't put it off as self-defense.
Insanity. Insanity. This is another one. U.S. Department of Justice Domestic Terrorism Squad. On 12/3/25, the FBI was at my door. Bitgood posted about being visited by the FBI. Video above courtesy of Geyer Digital. I don't know who that is. No legacy media has reported on Foxu and Bitgood's Antifa ties, which they can then say is evidence that there is no organized Antifa. At this time, we do not have anything to share, as the case you're referring to is part of an open and ongoing investigation. It would be inappropriate to speculate or comment on potential motives, including any political or ideological considerations. A Portland police spokesman told no comment. Foxu and Bitgood have their next court hearing scheduled on February 23rd. What is this video?
State charges. My apologies, Mr. Bitgood. What are you doing fighting state charges being seen on federal property? Trespassing illegally. Drunk. Drunk in public, by the way. Do not come near my car. Mr. Bitgood.
Dangerous and insane individuals.
Why is it that every single one of these freaks sound like they're Yorking it when they threaten lives? It's like 100% of them.
Probably getting off on the power trip, I have to imagine, because they haven't faced any repercussions for their violence for years. They've been allowed to power trip on ruining people's lives, whether that be getting them fired, getting their like public reputations tarnished, getting them killed. They've been allowed to do all of this nonsense. And that power trip probably feels pretty fucking good. Now they are saying police investigating the alleged murder of Ann Widdecombe are looking at whether the suspect was targeting other reform politicians. The head of counterterrorism policing, Assistant Commissioner Lawrence Taylor, said the political veteran was the victim of a targeted attack and confirmed officers are still looking into any motivation behind the 78-year-old's death. Police believe the former Tory minister, latterly Reforms Justice and Immigration spokesman, was killed in her remote Dartmoor home on Wednesday lunchtime. The 28-year-old remains in custody on suspicion of murder and terror offenses. Mr. Taylor said this afternoon, "It is clear that this was a targeted attack." I'm so shocked. I'm so shocked that anyone with a functioning IQ did not think that this was a targeted attack. We are working to understand the extent of any planning or preparation and the motivation that sits behind the attack. I don't want to comment further on the motivation or preparation at this stage of our inquiries. He added, in terms of the preparation and planning, we are aware that there has been some prep and planning, and I don't want to go into the details of the extent of that at this stage. Officers have been granted a warrant of further detention, meaning the suspect can now be held for questioning for up to 7 days under the Terrorism Act, Mr. Taylor added. He said there are multiple lines of inquiry that we are pursuing expeditiously that include a number of digital forensic examinations. It is important to remember that this is a murder investigation following a brutal attack on a 78-year-old lady in her home. Asked by reporters whether the police investigation was looking at whether the suspect was targeting other reform politicians, Assistant Commissioner Taylor said, "So clearly, part of our responsibility when investigating offenses of this nature is to assure ourselves and therefore the public and others of any extent of threat. That will form a line of investigation to ensure that we're putting all appropriate measures in place to mitigate any threat, should it become apparent. I'm not saying there is or there isn't at this stage." He added, "Of course, that will be a line of inquiry." Counterterrorism police believe the victim's appearance on Talk TV at 8 a.m. the day of the murder is also a key line of the inquiry, raising questions about when the suspect allegedly traveled from Rotherham to carry out the attack. That's interesting that the guy is from one of the epicenters of the rape gang activity. Mr. Taylor added, "We're exploring all lines of inquiry, and that is one of the lines of inquiry we'll be exploring." The Daily Mail has learned officers investigating have already seized around 8 hours of CCTV footage from a petrol station not far from Exeter, captured on Wednesday. It came as the boss of Devon and Cornwall Police has defended her embattled force over the way it has handled the murder investigation. I don't know how much more competent the terrorism task force is in the UK, but I just don't believe a single fucking thing any of their police officers say anymore. Like, at least our police try to weasel word a little bit. The British police just bold-face fucking lie to you. They will tell you the exact opposite of what's going on. Whatever British police officers say, the 180-degree opposite is actually what's true. You know, it's like absolutely fucking stupid. Police and Crime Commissioner Alison Hernandez hit back at criticism after her officer spent days insisting the Tory former minister's death had no link to terrorism. The British police force might as well be like agents of foreign submission at this point. Like, I meant subversion, but I said submission. It's like they do not give a shit about the British people, and we're in the same basket in the US. Our police are almost as bad. It's just that our police have not escalated to just bold-faced lying yet. I imagine that'll happen soon, TM. That's really fucked up. Knowingly lying to people while on the job as a cop should at a minimum result in firing and probably jail time too. All of the cops that handled fucking Henry Novak's case, they should be behind bars like for the rest of their fucking lives. If not be complicit in the murder of him, because he could still potentially have lived if they had given him help. Utah police had entered the chat. True. The Utah police are like apparently part of some sort of fucking weird ass like Mormon cabal or something. Counter-terror officers were called in yesterday to take over from local detectives as the investigation escalated. It prompted claims from Reform UK that police misled the public over the death of the party's immigration and justice spokesman at her home in Dartmoor last Wednesday. Shut up. I don't know if this is some like British colloquialism where they say misled instead of lied, but like fucking they are lying. They are lying. This isn't like an innocent oopsie poopsie. They are maliciously lying. It's not misleading, it's lying. In a robust statement today, Ms. Hernandez said there's been some commentary about the way Devon and Cornwall police have communicated during the early stages of this case. But as the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, said yesterday, it is not unusual that in a fast-paced investigation, more information comes to light that changes the nature of the character of what the police are dealing with. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I don't fucking care what your excuses are. You are incompetent. You shouldn't have your job. Get fucked. I'm tired of listening to these fucking freaks as police officers. Counter-terror officers took over running the investigation on Monday following the discovery of the former MP's body at her home on Dartmoor on Thursday. I'm illiterate. Home Secretary Ms. Mahmood confirmed yesterday that the British white suspect arrested on suspicion of murder and terror offenses, who the Daily Mail is not naming for legal reasons, was not known to the government's de-radicalization program, PREVENT. Oh god, you're so fucking stupid. You're so fucking stupid. That entire fucking PREVENT thing. We played that Amelia game. They're literally saying wanting more information is like the road to radicalization. They are focusing on far-right radicalization instead of the far-left terror that keeps fucking happening. If only he played the Amelia game, this wouldn't have happened. I just don't believe that, because this isn't what the Amelia game was trying to net. They'd be on this like flies to shit if it was some edgy tweets made by a white guy, but here, we all make mistakes, true. Notice how they said the British white suspect? Yeah, they're really nailing that one home. It could be a deranged British lefty, for all we know. They know the truth is against them. True. Devon and Cornwall police has faced significant criticism over its initial handling of the inquiry and the fact that it was 5 days in before counter-terror officers took over. Local officers waited more than 24 hours to announce a murder investigation before Assistant Chief Constable Matt Longman said on Friday night the incident is not being treated as terrorism, and later said there was no evidence to suggest the crime was politically motivated. Fire this man! Why should he keep his job after bold-faced lying? Assistant Chief Constable Matt Longman, he is not here for the British people. He is not there to do any kind of a good job. He is there to protect the narrative. This is not someone you want protecting and serving your community, because they're going to do the exact fucking opposite of that. Devon and Cornwall police also arrested a local laborer in error on Friday before detaining a 28-year-old suspect nearly 300 miles away in Rotherham, South Yorkshire, on Saturday night. He remains in police custody. The Daily Mail has learned that items of varying political ideology, including Russian material, have been found at the suspect's home and on electronic devices. In her statement, the Police and Crime Commissioner paid tribute to Miss Widdecombe, an exceptionally likable character. A huge cordon remains in place near Miss Widdecombe's remote home, but Miss Hernandez hinted at an imminent return to normality. There's some map stuff here. There's a little tribute. She said, "When I visited the scene on Sunday, I was impressed by the efforts being made by the police to speak to residents and address their very understandable concerns. I'm sure the impact of this major operation has meant that some people have had to wait longer than they would expect for routine services, or have not yet had their issues resolved. I've been assured officers and staff will be returning to business as usual over the coming days, which are also expected to be particularly busy with 2 final legs of the World Cup and the start of school holidays." Reform UK board member Gawain Towler led the initial criticism of the police, saying in the past they'd have said all avenues of investigation are open, but this time they tried to close out avenues of the investigation. In a time when trust in the police is at an all-time low, this just plays into that they are trying to massage public opinion. What a weird phrase. The killing has reignited fears about MP's safety following the murders of Sir David Ames and Joe Cox. I don't remember Sir David. I don't remember. I know I covered Joe Cox, but I don't remember Sir David. I would like to know more information on this. I don't know how much truthful information we're going to get out of this, because it's just UK police seem to enjoy lying about everything. A nice little Asmon clip that kind of strings together a lot of what we've been watching.
This is the problem, is like nobody understands that. People never understand making a decision. This is the reason why these people have no empathy, is that they don't understand what making a decision for people beyond yourself truly looks like. And saying someone married him and had 6 kids with him, well, maybe he's a normal guy in the general sense, and he did come over and it was like a misunderstanding, and like I don't know, but like I don't care. I don't want to legislate Laotian sexual normalcy in America. I just want them to leave. Just get out. Just get out. You did this. Okay.
I want them to leave unless they actually raped someone. Then I don't want them to leave. I want them executed legally and then put in the fucking ground. Like, what are we doing here?
Understood. That's all I needed to hear. It's time to leave. I don't want to hear this. It's fucking weird. Laotian? No, he's from Laos. So I think it's
Laotian, ain't ya, Mr. Khan?
Right? Get out, but yeah, get out before we say, get out before we say you can't leave anymore, right? That's the way I'd say it. You see, he paid the victims $10 as hush money. No, but I mean, if it's a 10-year-old girl, I'm not surprised. And she's going to live with the trauma for the rest of her life. Why should we have to live the fear of our future children to be scarred for? Well, even
this is like another thing where I was mentioning before, like all of the fucking cucks who were just like, it's time for forgiveness. I don't want to look back in anger. I forgive the rapist murderer of my child. They don't think about the other victims. Like none of these people who have like incredibly performative empathy. It's like they're psychopaths who don't know what empathy is, but they try to perform empathy in order to get other people on their side. And they're just like, oh, we need to be empathetic towards the criminals because they're just a misunderstood guy who did a bad thing and they need a second chance. But you already have one victim. Why create more? Where is your empathy for the people who are going to be victims to this fucking psychopath you're letting loose back on the streets? Why are you not thinking about all of those people? Why do you not care about them? And it's like, people even say that when a woman comes out and talks about rape, right? It's like, well, why are you reporting this like 10 years later instead of when it actually happened? If this guy was actually a dangerous rapist, you should have reported it much sooner, right? Because if you don't, how many other people have now been victims because you don't want to speak out? And it's rough when victims speak out, like, right? They're always going to get harassed. They're always going to have like people questioning them. And I think all of the stupid Me Too stuff has made it even worse for real victims to come out and say shit. It's just, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. And it feels like punching a brick wall, because it feels like anyone in a position to do anything about this, anyone who's a politician in my country, anyone who's in a position of knowing these politicians, anyone in the judicial system, it feels like they all just want this kind of horrid chaos and wanton violence, and they refuse to do anything to bring us back to a place of normalcy, because if you dare say low crime rates are normal, you're some kind of like Istphobe Hitler heckin' Nazi. It's just like, how much can you even say about these things when the same thing happens over and over and over and over? Man rapes, man gets arrested for rape, man lets go with community service, man rapes again. And it's just like, it's also tiresome. Like, what do you even fucking say when it's the same pattern, the same thing every fucking time, day in and day out, inundated with all of these rapes and murders that don't have to fucking happen? If only anyone in a position to do something about it would actually do something instead of playing the pussyfoot, well, I don't want to be called heckin' Hitlerino, meh. What the fuck are we doing? Why are you even in a position of power if that's all it takes to fucking control you, dude? I'm so mad.
If she doesn't, here's my point, right? Is even if somebody says, oh, it's okay that you committed this crime against me, there's still a greater duty that the governing body has to exist under that is protecting everybody else for a probability of a threat like this happening in the future.
And I think that's kind of gross. Like, I mean, I guess you're not supposed to, like, be critical of victims. But if there's somebody who's just like, yeah, I don't want to say anything, I don't want to rock the boat, I'm just gonna hope that they don't offend again, I think that's kind of gross. Like, if they're like a teenager, okay, whatever, you know, a little bit of leeway because they're a dumb fucking teenager. But if you're a grown-ass adult and you're like, I don't want to report this rape, I don't want to report this murder, I don't want to report, like, this fucking pedophile who molested me, you are basically saying you're okay with other people getting victimized. And it's just like, I look at you with a little bit of disdain. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Why would you not stand up for something that's right? It might be hard, it might take effort, but that would be the right thing to do, would it not be?
So it's not just between, like, whenever you commit a crime like that, you are committing a crime against society.
Yep.
You are committing a crime against our laws, our culture, and our country. It's not just you committing a crime against this person. This person just bears the brunt of it, but it is a crime against the culture, and that's why you have to leave. That's it. So it's not relevant whether they forgive them or not.
Even if it's not relevant if the like victim forgives them or not, I'm still sick of fucking hearing it. You make yourself look weak. You make everything around you look weak. All of the people who enjoy coming and raping your countrymen are looking at you like, look at this fucking retard. They're just gonna let us rape all we want. They're not gonna do anything about it. That's what you look like. You project weakness and cowardry.